Welcome to the Chinese Lore Podcast, where I retell classic Chinese stories in English. This is episode 13 of Journey to the West. Last time, the scripture pilgrim Tang Sanzang lost his 2 human attendants to a monster buffet, managed to escape with some supernatural help, almost got eaten by a tiger, was saved by a hunter, and then found himself under the protection of a powerful monkey that he freed from under a mountain. When we left him, though, he had run into yet another tiger. While Sanzang trembled with fear, his new naked monkey disciple Sun Wukong rejoiced. "Master, don't worry," he said. "It's delivering clothes for me." Sun Wukong put down the luggage, pulled a needle out of his ear, and gave it a shake in the wind. The needle immediately turned into a golden rod. Gripping the rod, Wukong laughed. "I haven't touched this treasure in 500-some years. I'll use it to get myself some clothes today." And so he stomped toward the tiger and shouted, "Damn beast, where are you going?" As soon as it saw him, the formerly ferocious tiger immediately crouched in fear and did not dare to even move. Wukong walked up to it and brought his rod down squarely on the tiger's head, smashing it so hard that its brains spilled out and its teeth went flying. Sanzang was so scared that he fell off his saddle, bit his fingers, and exclaimed, "Heavens! When the hunter killed a tiger a couple days ago, he fought with the beast for half a day. But today, Wukong didn't even need a fight. He just splattered that tiger with one swing of his rod. Truly, as the saying goes, there's always someone stronger." While Sanzang tried to collect himself, Wukong dragged the dead tiger's body over and said, "Master, sit for a while. Let me pull off its clothes, and then we can get going again." "What clothes does this tiger have?" Sanzang asked. "Don't you worry about it. I've got it handled," Wukong said. He then pulled a hair off himself, blew on it, and said, "Change!" The hair turned into a sharp paring knife, which he used to slice the tiger's pelt off, starting from its belly. He then cut off its claws and head and cut out a square piece of skin. He put it against his own body, did a rough measurement, and then cut it into 2 halves. He stashed away one half and wrapped the other half around his waist. He pulled a vine from the roadside and used it to fasten his new tiger skin tunic, which covered his lower half. "Master, let's get going," he said. "Once we stop at somebody's house, I can borrow some needle and thread to stitch it up properly." He now turned his rod back into a needle and stashed it in his ear. Then he picked up the luggage again and asked Sanzang to mount his horse as they resumed their journey. While they traveled, Sanzang asked Wukong what happened to the steel staff that he used to kill the tiger. Wukong chuckled. "Master, you don't understand. My rod came from the palace of the Dragon King of the East Sea. It was a magical piece of metal used to measure the depth of the heavenly river. It's also called the compliant golden band rod. When I turned the heavenly palace upside down, it was all thanks to this rod. It can change size at will. Just now, I turned it into the size of a needle and stashed it in my ear. I'll take it out when I need it." Sanzang was secretly delighted to hear about his new disciple's powers. He then asked, "Just now, when that tiger saw you, why did it freeze and let you kill it?" "Master, to tell you the truth, even a dragon will not dare to disrespect me, much less a tiger. I have the skills to tame dragons and tigers, to churn rivers and roil the seas. I can judge people's true nature at a glance and discover the truth by merely listening to the sounds. I can be as big as the universe or smaller than a strand of hair. I can turn into anything and make myself appear and disappear at will. Skinning that tiger was easy. When we face a real obstacle, then you will see my true skills." This greatly reassured Sanzang, and master and disciple now continued on their journey while they chatted. Before they knew it, the sun was hugging the horizon. The novel had a poem describing the sunset. "Soft glow of the fading twilight, and distant clouds slowly returning. On every hill swells the chorus of birds, flocking to shelter in the woods. The wild beasts in couples and pairs, in packs and groups, they trek homeward. The new moon, hook-like, breaks the spreading gloom with 10,000 stars luminous." "Master, let's pick up the pace," Wukong said. I see dense clumps of trees over there. That must be somebody's house. Let's go ask for lodging. So they went up to the house in the distance. While Sanzang dismounted, Wukong put down the luggage and started shouting, "Open up! Open up!" From the inside, an old man with a cane opened the door with a creak. The first thing that greeted him on the other side was this vicious-looking monkey with a probably still bloody tiger skin wrapped around his waist, with a pointy face like the god of thunder. The old man was paralyzed with fear and could only stammer, "A ghost! A ghost!" Sanzang now hurried forward and helped the old man steady himself. "Old benefactor, please don't be afraid," Sanzang said. "He is my disciple, not a demon." The old man saw that Sanzang's countenance was quite distinguished and not ape-like, so he calmed down a bit and asked, "Which monastery do you come from, monk? Why did you bring this villain to my door?" "I am from the kingdom of Tang, on my way to the west to ask the Buddha for scriptures. We were passing through when it got late, so we wanted to see if we can spend the night at your estate. We will leave first thing in the morning without any bother. I hope you will do us this favor." "You may be from the Tang, but surely that vicious-looking one isn't," the old man said. Wukong had heard enough. He shouted sternly, "You must be blind, old man. My master's the one from the Tang, and I am his disciple. I am the great sage equal to heaven. Some folks from your family know me, and I have even seen you." "What? When did you see me?" the old man asked. "When you were little, did you not forage for firewood and wild vegetables in front of me?" "You're speaking nonsense. Where do you live? How could I have come to forage for wood and vegetables in front of you?" "Nonsense? You must not recognize me. I am the great sage who was in the stone prison under the Twin Borders Mountain. Take a closer look." Only now did it occur to the old man who he was talking to. "You do look a bit like that monkey," he said to Wukong. "But how did you get out?" So Wukong recounted how the Bodhisattva Guan Yin had arranged for Sanzang to free him. Only then did the old man bow and invite Sanzang and Wukong inside. He summoned his wife and children and introduced them to their guests for the night. They were all happy to receive the travelers and offer the duo tea. After tea, the old man asked Wukong how old he was. Wukong turned the question around and asked, "How old are you?" "I am 130 years old." "Oh, so you're like my great-great-great-grandchild," Wukong jested. "I don't remember when I was born, but I spent 500 some years just under that mountain." Right, the old man said. "I remember my great-grandfather telling me that the mountain had descended from the sky one day and that a magic monkey was pinned under it. You only got out today? When I saw you in my childhood, you had grass on your head and dirt on your face, and I wasn't afraid of you. But today, you don't have dirt on your face or grass on your head, and you look a bit skinnier, and you have a big tiger pelt wrapped around your waist. You look just like a demon." At that, everyone broke into guffaws. The old man and his family then prepared a vegetarian meal. After dinner, Wukong asked the old man what his family name was. When he answered that it was Chen, Sanzang chimed in and said, "Old benefactor, you and I are from the same clan." "Master, your family name is Tang, so how can you and he be from the same clan?" Wukong asked. "My common family name was Chen," Sanzang explained. "They lived in the Haizhou prefecture in the kingdom of Tang, and my Buddhist name was Chen Xuanzang. But when the Tang emperor took me to be his sworn brother and granted me the honorific name Sanzang, he gave me the name of the kingdom for my last name." Wukong now said to the old man, "Hey, old Chen, I hate to impose on you, but I haven't had a bath in 500 some years. Can you go heat up some water so my master and I can bathe? We'll thank you when we leave." The old man accommodated him. After Sanzang and Wukong bathed, they sat by the candlelight. Wukong then asked their host for needle and thread. At the same time, he noticed a short white tunic that his master had taken off while bathing. Wukong put on the tunic and took off the tiger skin. He stitched the skin into kind of a pleated kilt, which he tied back around his waist with the vine again. He now stepped in front of his master and asked, "How do I look compared to yesterday?" "This is good," Sanzang said. "Now you actually look like a traveling monk. If you don't mind the tunic being old and worn, then you can have it. Wukong thanked him for the gift and went off to find grass to feed the horse while his master tended to his own business. The two and their hosts then turned in for the night. The next morning, Wukong got up and asked Sanzang to set out again. Once his master got dressed, he told Wukong to prepare the luggage. They were just about to say goodbye to their hosts when they noticed that the old man had already heated water for them to wash up and was preparing breakfast. So they ate and then set out once again. They traveled on for some more days, and it was now early winter, and the novel had a poem describing this as well. Frost-blighted maples and the wizened trees, few verdant pine and cypress still on the ridge, budding plum blossoms spread their gentle scent. The brief warm day, a little spring gift, but dying lilies yield to the lush wild tea. A cold bridge struggles against an old tree's bough, and gurgling water flows in the winding brook. Gray clouds, snow-laden, float throughout the sky. The strong cold wind tears at the sleeve. How does one bear this chilly might of night? One day, while the two of them were traveling, 6 men suddenly leaped out from the side of the road with a shout, all wielding sharp weapons. "Hey, you monks!" they barked. "Leave your horse and luggage, and we'll let you go with your life." Sanzang was scared witless and fell off his horse, unable to speak. Wukong helped him up and said, "Master, don't worry. They're coming to give us clothing and travel money." "Wukong, are you deaf?" Sanzang said. "They told us to leave our horse and luggage. How can you be asking them for clothing or money?" "Just stay here with our clothes, luggage, and horse. Let me go face off with them and see how it goes." "But one strong hand can't match 2 fists, and 2 fists are no match for 4 hands," Sanzang cautioned. "There are 6 of them. How can you alone, being as small as you are, take them on?" Wukong was like, "Please." He now casually walked over to the bandits with hands folded and said, "Hey guys, why are you blocking our path?" "We are kings of the highway and philanthropic mountain lords. Our great names are known everywhere, but you don't recognize us? Well, leave us your stuff at once, and we will spare you. If you dare to utter so much as half a no, we will cut you to pieces and ground your bones to powder." "Oh, well, I used to be a king and mountain lord too, back in the day, but I hadn't heard of your great names." "Well, then we will tell you. We are called the eye that sees and delights, the ear that hears and rages, the nose that smells and loves, the tongue that tastes and desires, the mind that perceives and covets, and the body that bears and suffers." "Turns out you're 6 two-bit crooks," Wukong chuckled. "And yet you don't realize that you've run into your master and you're trying to rob him. Hurry up and bring out whatever treasures you have seized. We'll divide it 7 ways, and I will spare you." The 6 bandits were irate and cursed. "Damn rude monk! You're offering us nothing and asking us for stuff?" As they cursed, they raised their weapons and started hacking at Wukong. He just stood there and let them have at it, completely oblivious to their attacks since, he's immortal and impervious to weapons in like 6 different ways at this point. "This monk has a really hard head," the bandits exclaimed after they had worn themselves out with their hacking. "Oh, it's just alright," Wukong laughed. "Looks like you're all tired. Here, let me show you this needle." "What is he, an acupuncturist?" the confounded bandit said. "We're not sick. Why is he bringing out a needle?" Wukong now took out the needle from his ear, shook it in the wind, and it turned into a rod. Raising the rod in his hand, he told the bandits, "Stand still and let me have a whack at you." The 6 bandits were scared and scattered, but Wukong quickly caught up to them and killed each one with one slight tap with his rod. He then stripped off their clothes, took their money, and headed back to Sanzang. "Master, I've killed the bandits. Please resume your journey," he said with a smile. But Sanzang was not smiling. "You are such a troublemaker," he scolded Wukong. "They may be highwaymen, but even if they're taken to the magistrate, they won't receive a death sentence. You may be skilled, but you could have just chased them away. Why must you kill them all? This is killing for no reason. How can you be a monk? We monks are afraid of harming ants when we sweep the ground, and we lament the moths that fly into the lamp. How can you kill them all just like that, without regard for right or wrong? You have no trace of compassion in your heart. Right now, at least we're still in the wilderness, where there's no one to hold you responsible. But when we are in towns and cities, if somebody sets you off and you kill them with your rod, then I would be held responsible. Master, if I hadn't killed them, they would have killed you, Wukong protested. I am a man of religion, so I would rather die than kill, Sanzang retorted. Besides, even if I died, it would just be one life. You just took 6. How can you defend it? If this matter made it to the courts, even if your father was the magistrate, he won't be able to let you off. Master, to be honest, 500 years ago, when I was king of Flower and Fruit Mountain, I couldn't even begin to count how many I killed. It's precisely because you have no restraint and acted recklessly in the mortal realm and offended heaven that you suffer your 500-year punishment. Now you have joined the Buddhist sect, and yet you're still as violent as before and do nothing but kill. You're not fit to go to the West. You're not fit to be a monk. Wicked. So wicked. Now, Sun Wukong had never been one to put up with crap from anyone. All this scolding from Sanzang set his heart on fire. Well, if you think I'm not fit to be a monk or to go to the West, there's no need to nag me, he barked. I'll just leave then. Before Sanzang could reply, Wukong said, "See ya," and flew off. Sanzang barely had time to look up before Wukong vanished into the sky, heading east. Sanzang was left all by his lonesome. He nodded and sighed in sadness, muttering to himself, "That scoundrel couldn't stand being lectured. I just scolded him a bit, and he's run off without a trace. Alas, alas. I guess I wasn't destined to have a disciple or a companion. And now he's nowhere to be found, and he won't answer when I call out to him. Fine, go, go." Sanzang now had no choice but to load his luggage onto his horse. He carried his Buddhist staff in one hand, took his horse's rein in the other, and continued westward on foot, alone. Before long, he was approaching a mountain and saw an old woman approaching while carrying a brocade shirt and a cap with a floral pattern. Seeing her come near, Sanzang quickly stood to one side to let her pass. "Elder, where are you from? Why are you traveling alone here?" the old woman asked when she saw him. "I am a pilgrim from the east, sent by the Tang Emperor to go see the Buddha in the west to obtain sacred scriptures." "But the Buddha resides in the Great Thunderclap Temple in India," the woman said. "That's 108,000 miles from here. How can you get there traveling alone without any companions or disciples?" "I did take in a disciple some days ago," Sanzang replied, "but he was short-tempered and hot-headed. When I scolded him a bit, he refused to listen and ran off." The old woman now told him, "I have a brocade shirt and a golden flower cap here. They belong to my son. He was a monk for all of 3 days before he died young. I just went to his monastery to mourn him and bid goodbye to his master. He gave me these 2 items as a memento. Elder, since you have a disciple, let me make a gift of the shirt and the cap to you." "Thank you so much, madam, but my disciple has already run off. I dare not accept your gifts." "Where did he go?" "I just heard a whoosh and he vanished toward the east." "Ah, I live not far to the east of here. He must have gone to my house. Well, I have a spell. It's called the True Words for Controlling the Mind, or the Band Tightening Spell. You must memorize it secretly. Commit it firmly to memory, and don't let anyone else learn of it. I'll try to catch up with him and tell him to come back to you. Then you can give him the shirt and the cap. If he refuses your command again, then you can utter this spell, and he won't dare to act recklessly anymore, and he won't dare to run off again." Sanzang bowed to thank her, but as he did so, the old woman dissolved into a beam of golden light and vanished toward the east. Sanzang realized that this was the Bodhisattva Guan Yin in disguise, so he quickly picked up a pinch of soil and scattered it like incense and kowtowed repeatedly toward the east to thank her. Then, he packed up the shirt and cap that she had left, hid them in his bundle, and sat down by the roadside, memorizing the spell. After reciting it a few times, he had it nailed down. Meanwhile, after abandoning Sanzang, Sun Wukong had flown all the way to the East Sea. There, he dove into the water and swam down to the Crystal Palace at the bottom of the sea, the abode of his, let's say old acquaintance, the Dragon King of the East Sea. The Dragon King was startled to hear that his favorite neighbor was back, so he came out to welcome him and invited him inside the palace. Once they greeted each other, the Dragon King said, I recently heard that you had completed your punishment. Belated congratulations! You must be going back to your mountain and cave to restore them to their former glory. That's what I had intended, Wukong said, but then I became a monk. What? A monk? Yeah, the Bodhisattva Guanyin told me to follow the righteous path and escort a Tang monk from the east to go to the west to see the Buddha. So I joined the Buddhist sect and picked up the nickname Pilgrim. Well, that's worthy of congratulations, the Dragon King said. You are abandoning the wicked for the good and cultivating a compassionate heart. But if you're heading west, why did you come back east? I mean, not that you're not welcome here, anytime. Wukong laughed. That monk doesn't know anything about human nature. A few bandits tried to rob us, so I killed them, and that made him nag me and say that was wrong. How can I possibly put up with that? So I ditched him. I'm on my way back to my mountain, but I wanted to drop by to see you first and bum a cup of tea. Oh, of course, the Dragon King said as he told his children to offer fragrant tea to his visitor. Once he was done sipping tea, Wukong looked up and saw a painting hanging on the back wall. It depicted a young man kneeling to present a shoe to an old man on a bridge. What is the scene? He asked. Ah, great sage, this scene happened after you were born, the Dragon King said. That's why you might not recognize it. It's called offering the shoe 3 times on Yi Bridge. What does that mean? So the old man in the painting is the immortal Huang Shigong. The young man is Zhang Liang from the Han Dynasty. And by the way, the Han Dynasty started in the year 202 BC, while the Tang Dynasty started in the year 618 AD. So, the scene depicted in the painting would have taken place more than 8 centuries before the current time in the novel. The Dragon King now continued. The old immortal Huang Shigong was sitting on Yi Bridge. Suddenly, he dropped one of his shoes off the bridge. He asked the young man Zhang Liang to fetch it. So Zhang Liang got it and kneeled to present the shoe to Huang Shigong. And then Huang Shigong repeated this twice more, and Zhang Liang repeated his actions twice more, showing no sign of pride or neglect. This impressed Huang Shigong, so he bestowed a divine book upon Zhang Liang at night and told him to use its knowledge to help establish the Han Dynasty. And in fact, Zhang Liang became a supreme strategist. Once he helped to bring peace to the land, he gave up his position at court and returned to the mountains. He then followed the Taoist Master Red Pine and became an immortal himself. Oh, and by the way, I actually covered the story about Zhang Liang and the shoe all the way back when I was retelling the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Check out supplemental episode 5, Legendary Advisors, from that series if you want to learn more. And just in case Wukong did not pick up on the giant blinking PSA, the Dragon King spelled it out for him. Great sage, if you don't protect the Tang monk, if you are not willing to exercise diligence or accept instruction, then you will always be a bogus immortal, and you will never become truly enlightened in the way of immortality. Wukong fell silent when he heard this and contemplated for a long time. The Dragon King then prodded him further. Great sage, you must decide for yourself. Don't throw away your future in pursuit of being carefree. Fine, no need to say more, Wukong replied. I'll just go protect that monk. The Dragon King rejoiced. Well, in that case, I dare not keep you. Please exercise your compassion at once and don't leave your master abandoned for too long. Getting the feeling that maybe he had overstayed his welcome, Wukong took his leave, swam up to the surface, and took to the air. And that's where he ran into the Bodhisattva Guanyin, who was, just passing by, and hey, what a coincidence to run into you here. What are the odds? Wukong, why did you refuse my instruction? She asked. Why did you come here instead of protecting the Tang monk? Wukong quickly bowed and said, As you had predicted, the Tang monk did arrive and peel away the paper on Five Elements Mountain to save me, so I became his disciple. But he nagged me for my violent ways, so I had to get away from him for just a bit. I'm on my way back to escort him now. Then hurry up, before you change your mind again, Guan Yin said. And at that, they went their separate ways. To see what's in store for Sun Wukong when he meets up with his master again, tune in to the next episode of the Chinese Lore Podcast. Thanks for listening.